Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. This is a complex examination of the tragic, just self-removal from existence of, oh, she went by two names, and I apologize if I mispronounce. Keante means, if it's Keante or Keante, but she also went by Diamond Scott. And she, though, however, well, I'll get into the details of it. But to start, I just want to request you watch the entire share because that is so beneficial. And it's also going, I know lots of us have already been talking about this horrific tragedy, but I'm going to delve in it in a way that I'm sure nobody else is going to do. So let me get right to it. Oh, and I also have to preface this by saying my condolences to Keante's, I'm going to just pronounce it that way, to her family and her friends. I mean nothing untowards with my analysis. What it is we are, Black us, we are a nation. This is not some just, like lighthearted subject matter and horror that happened in this young woman taking her two children with her in a eliminating plunge into the Niagara Falls, and thereby, since we have a pronounced avid enemy that never stops hunting us, examining the credibility of his assault is contingent, because there's a lot of us who fall for the enemy's propaganda, and that's what I mean by doing this examination. I don't mean to be salacious. I hope I can be respectful, but my passionate love for Black us as a separate people and any unique grouping of organic species has a right to protect their existence. Our Blackness is not simply an accessory. And there was a time when exterminating whole groups of people based on their phenotype was called genocide. But they've talked so many of us out of our minds that we no longer see ourselves as anything but an accessory. And thereby, I'm going to just dispense with all of that. But first, I have to put in full view, I guess it's my qualifications to speak on this solely because I have been a victim of the confusion that comes with believing the Negropean mindset. And here, I don't know how old I was in this photo, but I think I was maybe 16, 17. And you could see that thing in the background, that garish thing in the background was a Christmas tree. And this was in my childhood home. And my parents, wonderful people, they had definite problems that were just the result of generations of being hunted and hounded in every which way and not realizing the effects of that hunt, so that we took on the intention of white people's hatred towards us as if we were not enough. And it had its effect also in the food. I'm quite overweight here, on top of being obviously massively depressed. And one of the means of trying to nullify the pain of feeling as if, as a Black young girl, you're just made to be rejected is to overeat. When I see a lot of our sisters still overweight, I know that much of that is just defeat, a sense of defeat against the just general assumption that Black women are meant to be the ugliest women on the face of the earth. But when I look at myself now, it's such a change. It's such an increase in my serenity that then gives me and has given me the power to overcome my hesitancy, my self-doubt, so that I challenge myself. I challenge myself to exercise, and the pain of that exercise, the hardship, the self-doubts, the excuses that have come up each time I'm getting ready to do it are so much easier to challenge when you are centered on positivity, when you recognize the magnificent gift being Black is. You suddenly have so much strength, so much determination that is in our nature as a people. But as long as you're believing white people and their conclusions about us and the whole world just really can't stand us, or they'll, sort of feel sorry for us, but they'll dismiss us in a way where it's like, well, of course, you're Black. You're not supposed to be about anything. Once you are over the need for other nations' approval, you're capable of so much. And that is the overall just conclusion of my examination of Keante, might be Keante, means is I'm not here to just, because she looks like she may have been involved in interracial relationships. I'm going to, even though I'm going to put her in the Swirler's Regret playlist, I'm not going to call her an out and out swirler, because it was once when I was that just certain that the measure of success was defined by white people, and I wouldn't have even called it that, because you just have this overall sensation that success is, having their hair, having their material definition of what success is. But if we don't have a separate nation so we can define ourselves, then we're always going to be prone, and there's going to be increasing numbers of us who choose the most ludicrous decision. As I said, I'm passionate about how amazing we are. I'm not going against because she made such a horrific choice in life. I'm not going against Keante. I could never call her sister, just based on some very obvious details in Keante's life. But if you are embedded with that Western mindset, you really are vulnerable on so many levels to the lies and the confusion. And it reminds me of a time I did research about exorcisms and demonic possession, because I figured we're in this time, it had to be going through the roof. And that's how I discovered 5-6 years ago, I looked it up and I found out that it was actually true. And I realized if they were going to the Catholic Church for salvation, for guidance, and I just recognized with the Catholic Church, all they're doing would be acclimating them to the very thing that is putting their souls in damnation danger, where they're only going to make you feel comfortable with the same old lies. And thereby, nobody that a young lady who seemed to have many, many troubles, nobody who was Western trained would be able to get her completely away from danger. And the sad thing is there's a lot of educated sisters out there who are low self-esteem does not feel like low self-esteem. It seems like I just need to get one more accolade. My apologies, because that my little inset was covering beautiful young lady's face. And so, as I was saying, you feel like you need to get one more accolade, but you're doing it all attached to the just unquestioned dominance of an enemy's concept of what life is supposed to be. And he's confused as hell to be destroying the planet and say not a daggone word about it. You are not anyone we should be using as a measure of what successful is. So when you have low self-esteem, you will overeat, and if you don't overeat, you'll exercise to the point of oblivion, where you are just like wasting away to nothing. And anorexia nervosa is what they call it. They have so many names for the fact that everybody's trying to live up to their insane standards of what success is, their insane definition for what civilization is. It's not even in the word. Buildings, cities, money. It's civil. Learning how to get along with other people who may look nothing like you. It's easier to get along with your own people, right? So this sister, like so many, even one that was a friend of Dr. Shee's, who took her own life, and she had all the papers. This sister, Keante, was a social worker, and here's her degree from the University of New York at Buffalo, right? SUNY Buffalo. But that would make her, was supposed, with these little sheepskins, to give you a sense of accomplishment. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And so this is still, but unfortunately, Keante is no longer among the living. This is her cousin, Beara Hamilton. And Beara, understandably, was very upset that people were saying that her cousin committed suicide because of some man, despite the fact that she had posted different comments that she claimed that I wish someone would love me because the man that's supposed to does not. And also, everyone, please leave me alone. I'm in love with my daughter's father. I want my family back. Respectfully, I don't give a what I said about him before or what anyone else thinks. And so I do believe, and I think, because this is going to be so long and complicated, but I do believe, based on the tone of her children, that the man she was talking about wasn't this young boy's father, and this was Roman. He was 9 years old. And there's going to be more to discuss as far as his participation in this horrifying outcome. But because of just the light-skinnedness of the children, I'm making an assumption that their fathers were white men, in which case that would be a pattern that she engaged in on a regular basis, because the young boy was 9, Roman was 9, and this Mecca, her daughter, was only 4 months old. And so that's a long time to hold on to, cling to the idea that somehow or another you're going to be able to work it out with your enemy. And so, with great respect to Brianna, she's what I find absolutely astonishingly ironic is how similar the two cousins look. But there's a vast difference in the energy that Brianna is putting out, and I pray that she can overcome any possible grief. I don't mean this in any disrespect whatsoever. I can't imagine the pain of losing a loved one. But as I said, this is attached to our greater Black nation. And so I cannot not notice that the two young ladies look very similar. And yet, when it came to Keante, she seemed really convinced, absolutely convinced, that not embracing her authentic, made by the one and only self was a step up. As I say, that is a key feature of low self-esteem. It's not that you feel it. You just think if you can be successful at what people who don't even like you tell you is a measure of success, that is going to one day just gift upon you hegemony over all your pains and agonies and self-doubt, and it never ever does. That's why often persons who are believing as such wind up becoming alcoholics, drug addicts. I'm not saying that that was the road she was on, but I'm saying is that it leads to depression, because once you achieve these little accolades, you're still left with yourself. You're still, that even hollows you out more. Where all these things that are supposed to give you a sense of serenity and joy and peace don't. It's a horrible, cackling laugh that you assume means you're a failure. You're a failure, and you're not. You have been beguiled. Because this is the same face. But this young lady, even though she's dyed her hair, has her own natural hair, and she looks absolutely stunning. She looks stunning. I don't know anything about her to know, because we can have our natural hair and still be believing white people. Right? I'd see, she got it like a little bit bleached and colored or whatever, and that's hazardous too. But it takes a lot of strength to get to the point where you are like, you know what? This is the way I was born. If you don't like it, that's your problem. It ain't mine. I am not about to get some chemical, anything up on my scalp where your scalp just absorbs so much. And then it's going to fizzle into your brain and sizzle out your neurons. Ain't no way I'm doing that, because I am precious to me. My apologies, I wasn't showcasing the images. So this is Brianna again, and this is Keante, and just the difference in energy is obvious. Forget evident, it's obvious. Terribly obvious. Where this march, where they're trying to talk everyone into, thinking that OnlyFans is the new Sunday church group. And there's nothing you can do to change the compass. Just pinpoints that the Most High has put on all of us, so that you offer your body, your flesh, as a tidbit to get people to pay attention to you. What man would need to respect you, to honor you, to value you enough to put his life on the line for you? Because that's the way men are made to be. When it comes to their significant other, they're going to protect their family. What man would think that he could protect you if he is pretty sure he means nothing to you? He means just like the whatever guy you can grab at. There's no real expectations. And this is often the mind of the swirlers, where because they're so desperate for that white zaddy approval, and for the black men, they're desperate for white zaddy approval too. That's why they're getting his woman, his daughter, right? Because the white woman don't run that. She don't run that show. It's the man who's supposed to be in charge. You can't change that the way the Most High said it. And so to be out there screaming for attention is another feature of trying to just take care of your sense, like they have so many borderline personality disorder where you need those outside of you to validate who you are. But my whole assessment is that they've talked most of black us into borderline personality disorder, because you're not born to bow down to the devil. That's not your nature. And so it creates a cognitive dissonance that the more we get away from our blackness, as Brother Yapo Yapa said, the closer we are to white people, the crazier we become. And so they are just basically attacking black women ad nauseum, whereas for a long while, and I know there's an overwhelming number of sisters who we don't want nothing but natural. Ain't no chemicals going on up in here, right? Ain't no heat where I'm gonna just like be slowly frying my follicles out of wanting to be anywhere near my scalp, right? I remember when they started up with these like reality TV shows just in general, Survivor, and it first started out with MTV, but when I watched Survivor, I was disgusted that the most despicable person won. And so I recognized that these reality shows were a means, and then you found out that, yes, they do edit it together so that they can cherry pick who they want to be the bad person, good person, and oftentimes it's construed so that the bad person is the winner or the one who winds up looking, justified in some way. So I stopped watching them immediately. And with the ones with black characters on it, I could never even begin to watch it. But this is the way that they brought in this whole hyper fakery and the celebration of materialism and hedonism and all of these like things that mean nothing. But the person who is the most arrogant, they'll claim their superiority simply based on this stuff that means absolutely nothing, and showcasing your body more and more. That man that you're seeking, all you're going to wind up doing is gathering the worst types of men. If you're with black people, white people, Asian people, anybody, you're going to be attracting the worst types of men. And if you don't love yourself enough to leave the false flattery of white people's concepts about what's successful, if you don't love yourself enough so that you could stand on your own two emotional feet, everything is going to confuse you. Everything's going to be chaos. And then because with white men, in my conclusion, they do not care for sisters who are larger. And because of that, just, it's impossible. How can you be another woman standard? You wind up begging white men even more for that accolade, for that little tidbit that you imagine, because you've been deluded out of your mind, is going to address all of your self-loathing. Now, in saying all of this, I don't mean that white women are better than us, not at all. This is from them using Ozempic. Who are they imitating with these fake lizard lips but us? I'm just saying, there are those who, they'll give it a shot, and then there's a whole campaign going on where I know, they got white men working as agents where they are getting together, marrying black women on purpose to make it seem as if, well, oh no, white man, we really like you. When there's a couple white and even an Asian channel that will swear, oh, we love black women. And then they just trivialize everything about us. And they never, if you really love us, you would scream, run from us, because we don't really want you. Okay? We don't want the children you're going to give to us. We don't want none of that. And these stories are just like, whoa, they go on and on and on and on and on. And so for them to pretend that they're into larger size black women, that's not true. But you'll find brothers who are into that. But once again, you can't just walk on up to black men and be carrying the OnlyFans mindset where it's all about the flesh. They got women so competitive over trivial stuff because we're trying to outpace the just debauchery of the white woman. Not every white woman's like that, no. But there's a system in charge that is just like rampantly shoving nudity and orgies, like precursor to orgies, down our throats. Right? And so you're out there begging, and then she got the rainbow thing on and stuff. And even though the rainbow's ours, I would say when you are following these white people, they like you best when you are sexually out of your daggone mind. They feel the most comfortable with you. That's why in Biden's administration, all he had was black women married, owned extra leash-like by white men. Or he had black women who were just like, oh, I got a nice Hoover vacuum. I don't, but I'm saying some of them really do, okay? And so this is a lose every step of the way. But when you are so deeply beguiled by these people, you don't know. You don't know. So I'm not here to even try to wake up any of them folks. If you're on the ledge and you have questions, maybe you could be woken up. But I can hopefully, if you are at that point where you think there's no more hope, do a seriously careful evaluation of, why do I need $1 million in order to think that I'm successful? Why do I need to have everybody approve of what black people do and are? And it's none of their damn business. They need to leave us alone. Really, so that you don't barrel yourself into further devastation and just, I don't even want to say it, but I am a witness that you ain't got to go there. You ain't got to go there. But it's a careful, step-by-step climb up out of the abyss that these dudes just, that's what they live in. That's their lives. That's their concepts. To just do what they do. Oh my God. And so when I think about my advocacy of Fukushima, I know that one of the biggest hesitations on our part is not the algorithms at all. If the algorithms were, yes, they shadow ban my content, but off of here, they ain't shadow banning you. And there are so many amazing people who come to my channel and you let me know, you tell your family about the data that I share. And it's difficult. It is very difficult. Trust, I know that. I know that, and I love you for even trying. But even to put the warning in front of us on a personal basis gives the data more credibility. People might not hear you right then, but then they start asking questions. I know there's people coming and finding me again and saying, wow, sister, I saw what was happening and I thought about you. So let me go over what, when you are looking for their accolades, you're going to see a sister like me and you're going to be like, no, but the white man didn't say that that's what it is. And Trump said that SMRs, small module reactors, it's just, they didn't want to put nuke in there, right? Are perfectly fine. No, they're not. In this article, just to prove a point, haunting ghost forests in North Carolina are visible from space and the disturbing reason behind them. All right? They make up so many lies about the epic rise in colon cancers. The way you can know it's the radiation is because they never mention radiation. How the hell can you never mention radiation? Now, the reason they give for this, I can actually agree with. They say it's the rising sea levels. But what's making the sea levels rise so catastrophically? So this ghost forest right here, right? They would test the water and find that it has an incredible amount of salt, saline in the midst of it. And that's what's killing whole forests. But that's the thing. If you just take these people's word at whatever it is, you won't know when you kill forests because the oceans are so dead. They're melting and invading the coastlines. You lose, and we can wake up and start loving our beautiful black selves. So I think, brother, you mute me 2.0 for sharing this, brother who suffers from the same delusions. I would hazard a guess. I don't know anything about this young man, Chauncey Glover, who died at 39. And they don't post the reasons why or why not, but the fact they never mention radiation when the preponderance of it is over freaking whelming. That's not accidental. I mean, God, they're talking about pesticides are causing it, toothpaste and mouthwash is causing all these throat cancers and colon cancers. They even blame oral sex. Like, how long in human history have people been engaging in that one? Right? Gratefully, hopefully you do it behind closed doors because ain't nobody's daggone business. But I'm just saying, they never mention this. Only Trump. And I'm not giving him credit for that. He said, the biggest problem isn't climate change. It's, not global warming. It's nuclear warming. I think really, I'm not sure, I don't know, but I would hazard a guess that Trump has seen some of my videos, okay? So there's soaring rates of black us just dying, and I just wonder, did you eat the sea moss? Did you eat fish, right? Did you eat flesh, meat, so that you don't even know that the higher up the food chain you go, the more radiation you're taking in? Did you know any of that? No, because if you see someone like me, rather than bypassing the algorithm altogether and just sitting down with your family and say, watch this. Don't even share me, because for some reason, I would think that it's just that I'm a black woman, like Keante was. But she so believed the hype. Wow. So there's so much that I want to share, but because there's so much to this and it's all connected. But I can't, because then this might wind up being an hour long, and then just even editing it together is going to take literally the entire day. All right? Literally. I'm not joking with you. And so, yeah, go to 25,000yearcycle.org, because these dudes, like I said, Maine's hunters warned to throw out meat due to one dangerous reason. That's all they're going to say, and there won't be a single word in here about radiation. They'll use this, which if you've read Behind the Fog, you know the U.S. military will use fake words, obfuscating terminology in order to hide that they're talking about radiation. Because when they mentioned forever chemicals, the U.S. military came out and said, well, we can't do anything to stop using forever chemicals because we need them for weapons. So we're not going to tell you that we don't want you to eat the deer because Fukushima obliterated the entire globe with isotopes like a friggin' snowstorm. And I don't know how many can walk into a snowstorm and miss a single snowflake. Right? They're not going to tell even these hunters the truth of what's going on so they can save themselves. You think they want to save us when we are the target of their attacks? Let me quickly, this is the brother who he just passed suddenly, Chauncey Glover, and he was an anchor, Emmy Award winning person. That award didn't save them. I'm just saying, these people, we go running for their accolades, and they ain't gonna save us. And then the Maris map here again, where, yeah, it's just, forget it, okay? This is what Trump was talking about, but he ain't gonna put it in terms where it's meant to save us. Even his suck-up, Candace, had to mention Fukushima, all right? And here is North Carolina, where that ghost forest is, right? Here's all the nuclear power plants that vent right on into the freshwater lakes and streams and rivers, because otherwise they'd all go into catastrophic meltdowns because the stuff is hot. Trump said it, nuclear warming, but they'll never say it. So to reiterate, this ain't a picture that makes me happy, smile, or anything of the sort, but it's to verify that I've been there. And a little blurb I even forgot to say was, because of my depression and because of my Negro-peanness combined, I assumed that the only way to prove that I was worthy was by jumping through whiteism hoops. And that, for me, this is not something I talk about anymore because it's shameful. It's horrifying that it made me think, but the best man for me would be a white man, because I used to be a swirler. I was never a swirler. Like, I never attacked black men, and I was so happy there were black people out here. And so I considered myself to be IR, relationship oriented, but at the same time, it's all destructive. As soon as other people saw me with these like dudes who were not even worthy, which is the mindset you get into, then how many small little black girls did I talk into thinking that that was some sort of escape? And it is a trap. It's a trap with no bottom to it. So it occurred to me, when it comes to healing from the beguilement, it operates on the same level as physical matter. When we eat healthy, when we exercise regularly, our bodies are protected against the ravages of just stupid thoughts, stray thoughts. It's not going to stop you if you're Negropean from believing the liars, but at the same time, it will protect you a little bit more from, like if you see a commercial for Oreo cookies or something stupid like that, you're not going to go, ooh, Oreo cookies. You're just not. I know they put out there the Ozempic and, so that once again, white man can, I'm here, I'm going to save you from the ravages of the foods that he poisoned deliberately with HFCs and GMOs and all the rest of it, so that you would be convinced you could not step away from these addictions. But you can. I find fasting to be paramount. The fasting gives you that ability to see. You could say no. I don't have to be, overcome by my whims and my taste buds. I can thereby take that, because when you fast for a whole day, it's easier because then you're just saying no to eating altogether. But then as the time goes by, you could take that discipline into the days where you are eating. As of this point in time, because my toe is like really, really healing up wonderfully. But for the past almost 9 weeks now, I haven't been able to run. But at the same time, I'm smaller than I was before I broke my toe. But I was determined not to lose the gains that I've made. And because I have that positivity that I've built up over just like severing the umbilical cord to the devil, I've been able to put into reality my goals, my aims. And that's what my whole point is you just got to cut that umbilical cord, and then all the things that are reasonable that you desire to achieve, you have a far better chance of getting them. Part of, trying to understand, was this just postpartum? Or was this something larger and longer lived? And that's the difference when you go to Western psychiatrists. They're going to give you their little diagnosis that fits into a, one line on a, apt sheet that they fill out. And then they're going to hand you a pill that is on top of all of these different things you're eating and you're thinking that mean you no good whatsoever. They're going to hand you all of this stuff, but the witnesses at the scene said that the young boy, young Roman, jumped first, and Biera, her cousin, said that that wasn't the case. It was postpartum depression. I'm like, no. Because of the diet that I eat, my menopause was absolutely fantastic. Other than, right now I'm not having a heat flash. It's actually like, I don't know, what is it, 70 degrees outside? Oh, that nuclear warming, huh? But when I did go through, I'm postmenopausal at this point, but when I was going through menopause, getting little heat flashes was the worst thing that happened to me. My personality stayed the same. My disposition stayed the same. My positivity kept on soaring. Each year I'm alive. I'm more positive than I was the year before because I can challenge myself to the next level. And that includes writing books, running further distances, so that, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not falling for all those convenient little terms and titles for things that have everything to do with keeping these people in charge of what we believe, while they don't say a damn thing about something as catastrophic even as this. So when I saw that still the little boy climbed up on the gate, on the fencing first, the cousin was trying to say that the mother pushed them. You don't climb up on something that's right over something so hazardous and you're 9 years old. At 9 years old, you are perfectly capable of recognizing when you are in danger. That is a significant, transition where a child starts to just no longer cling to their parents, to their mother especially, and they start, wanting to be with their friends and identify with them more. For a little boy to make that choice, that says that Keante was just working on his mindset long before she gave birth, because otherwise he would have had a chance to attach his identity to the world around him, to his other family members, who I'm quite sure, and I pray, they're not feeling that torn up inside, right? And so that slow, just like children can be trained to think all kinds of lunacies. We've trained them to believe in Santa Claus because we're so Negropean, and we think that Moloch, which is what Santa Claus really is, look up Moloch. Now, they used to put the babies on the sacrifice to, right? And we keep on up with that lie, and when it says in the Bible itself, don't do what these forest people do. All right? Don't lie to your children, because it has repercussions, vast repercussions. And I don't know, but when you have biracial children, they have an automatic right to love the other half of what they see as making themselves, and most biracials want more of that, because children, even from the very earliest ages, they are being brainwashed by the nonstop propaganda that white is not only right, it's everything. So they can be utilized against us later on in many terrible ways. But I'm just saying, Keante was working on that poor young boy's mindset for him to do something like that, to skirt the profound will to live, to avoid danger. Wow, it's horrible. I'm sorry. I don't like children to be hurt. I don't, okay? It's not their fault. And so I don't look at that at all as postpartum depression. I look at that as soul DNA that is not getting the right nutrition, believing the devils, okay? And that comes from first taking care of your body, embracing your natural beauty, so you don't apologize to anybody who would have the nerve to look at any one of us and say, oh, you're pretty for a black girl. And then even if they did say that, you would be like, why am I even around somebody like that? And you would move on to someone who knows and loves you for being you. Not for being almost as good as what, devils? Stop. It's a beautiful young lady here. I wish her all the best again. Okay? And so one of the things that Keante said was, when her son was born, he became her reason for living. He brought her so much joy. But just I've gone over, Tia Morrow using her children the wrong way, the very wrong way. And I would hazard a guess that could be wrong. I'm just saying, I imagine that Keante was doing the same thing to her son Roman, where he was also supposed to be her rescue from her own inability to extricate herself from believing the devil, right? And he was a boy. He was a boy. That wasn't his job. You find it almost, I guess, impossible to extricate yourself from believing people can't stand you, can't recognize how beautiful you already are. You don't need to imitate them at all. And how in the world is a little child going to be able to pull you out of that, especially if his daddy is a white person, a white man? He's not going to be able to do that. He's going to just conclude, yeah, mommy, it's too terrible to stay here. Everything around us is hell. No, it's not. No, it's not. So again, my condolences to the family, really. And I ask understanding. I had to just piece this apart without, I hope I wasn't, dismissive or too catty. I'm very protective of our beauty, our might, because I know it's just real. It is what it is. And they're trying to stop it as best they can. I did my best to see this young lady for a person for the sake of her children, who they ain't deserve that. They ain't deserve that. All right? Whew. Condolences, definitely, for the children. Love you. Straight black pride, and we are owners of forever. Peace and blessings.